welcome in everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Hong Win, and I am a part of the Careers and Professional Development team here at WGU. We're so excited to continue kicking off the year here with another great financial workshop and welcome back our friends from the Commerce Bank team. Today's topic is a fascinating one. It's on money personality. It's all about understanding your habits, mindsets, and values that influence the way you approach money. We're always so excited to have our friends here, and we have Jamie who will be leading the session. And we also have Matt who will be helping us out here in the chat. So other than that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you both.
Thank you so much. And we're actually going to throw you another curveball. I'm going to take the reins today.
Ah,
So
perfect,
it's
perfect.
always nice to dust off those presentation skills, and the opportunity arose for me to lead Money Personality. So you all are going to get to learn a little bit more about me and the way in which I approach my finances, and hopefully along the way you'll be able to pick up some tips and tricks that will help you in your personal financial wellness journey. So I want to make sure, is that screen share working on your end, Jamie? Okay, perfect. We will go ahead and dive into today's presentation. All right, so during this session, we will be discussing how your personality affects your use of money by taking a quick 5-minute assessment, and you will discover what your own money personality says about you. Then we will showcase my milestones resources for you to gain the most of this new knowledge about your money personality. Here is a look at an agenda for the day. So first, we'll discuss what is My Milestones by Commerce. Next, we'll learn why financial wellness is important, followed by taking the Understanding Your Money Personality quiz. And then we'll finish with a call to action and any questions that you may have. But we also encourage you to drop questions throughout the session. I've got that chat window pulled up, and Jamie will be able to help us drop helpful information along the way. So don't hesitate to raise a hand, use reaction buttons, or leverage the chat throughout. And so, in the event that you are new to My Milestones, you might be wondering what it's all about. It is a financial wellness platform that provides objective, interactive tools, education, and solutions to help empower users to take control of their finances. To grow your financial knowledge, the platform offers a variety of learning mediums, so you can learn by taking courses, using interactive tools, reading articles, using Start Here guides for topics that may be new to you, watching videos if you're more of a video audio learner, reading infographics, as well as tuning into webinars on topics that may be of interest on a variety of topics. And we'll show you how to access all of that great information during today's session. Everyone is in a different place in their financial journey. For example, someone headed towards retirement is in a very different place than someone graduating from high school or college. And so their financial needs and the questions that they have about those needs will be different, and it will reflect based on their season of life. And this is why My Milestones is so effective, and it is so wonderful that WGU has access to this tool to help you along your financial wellness journey. So let's start off with some statistics. So here you can see that over 50% of Americans are anxious about their personal finances. So that's 1 in 2. You're in good company if that statistic resonates with you. What happens when individuals lack financial literacy? An economic and public health crisis. In order to improve American standard of living and the income equality, we need to recover Americans from high financial stress and burnout. And then a couple more stats to underscore that is, did you know that 67% lack the knowledge to make sound financial wellness decisions? So when in doubt, we encourage you to come to My Milestones and fact check the information that you may be lacking at the moment. Let My Milestones be that guide for you. 1 in 3 consumers take a hardship loan from their 401k annually. That is a a statistic that we would like to combat with the knowledge through the platform. We really discourage hardship loans from your 401k as it may lengthen the time that it takes for you to reach full retirement, and there may be alternate solutions before resorting to a hardship loan from a 401k. So a great opportunity to speak with a banker or leverage the technology on the platform before making that type of financial decision. And then 64% of people live paycheck to paycheck, which means budgeting and making sure that you've got a handle on your own personal financial situation is so important. And once you have that, it will help lower some of that stress level. All right, so here is where we want to make sure that you all know how to access your financial wellness platform, and that is as easy as taking out your cell phone and scanning that QR code. What we recommend for folks that like to interact with My Milestones on their mobile device is that once you have scanned that, go ahead and save it to your home screen so that it interacts like an app does. Because My Milestone is web-based, it's not an app that you download from your app store. Instead, we encourage you to visit the URL that Jamie has placed in the chat. Thank you so much. Or the scan of that QR code. It'll get the website pulled up. And then by creating a tile on your home screen, that will allow you to have easy access to the My Milestones platform through WGU. Once you have traveled to wgu.mymilestones.com or scanned that QR code, you'll be greeted with a Get Started green button. So go ahead and click that Get Started, or if you're a returning user, go ahead and log in. New users, it will ask for your first and last name and email, which you may use your WGU email or a personal email. Go ahead and re-enter what you used, and then you'll create a password. And you'll have to probably select a couple check boxes. Depending on your device, it may have you do a CAPTCHA, so you'll have to find the crosswalks or the bicycles. And once you have passed that, you should be on to the learning platform. And I'm going to take just a moment to pause and let folks either get signed up or logged in to My Milestones. And I'm going to transition to the live site myself. One moment. All right. So we are on the WGU My Milestones page, and I have got a demo profile created here. Yours may look slightly different as a new user. If this was your first time accessing the platform, you may have been immediately prompted to take what's called the Get Recommendations, a financial wellness checkup. In the top left-hand corner, you can skip checkup and come back to that at a later time if you'd like to follow along with what we're doing today. The screen that you see here is your dashboard. So this is what we consider your homepage and how you can navigate to all of the different resources available on the platform. For new users, I'll briefly go over how to start interacting with the platform. Here in the middle, it will tell you what your next priorities are. You can read a welcome message about this benefit from WGU. You can get recommendations, which will take you back to that financial wellness checkup when you first signed on. You can discover your money personality, which we're going to dive into today together. And then you can also set a streak goal. So this is a way to gamify your experience on the platform. If you set a streak goal, it will allow you to choose reminders. Do you want to be reminded to come back to the platform and learn on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis? This allows you to stay on track to meet the goals that you have. And it helps gamify the experience by awarding some experience points that you can use for a sweepstakes and a drawing. So we'll dive into all of that throughout today's session. For first-time users, the left-hand side also has a lot of great access to some of the areas that you'll be navigating to. So I'm going to click on this overview on the left-hand side. You can see that to unlock more features, I need to complete that financial wellness checkup. And once I complete that checkup, it will give me recommendations so I can explore new content that is recommended for me. In addition, it's going to unlock monthly tasks. So that will allow the platform, based on the way that you interact with the financial wellness assessment, to give you tasks on articles to read, courses to take, or infographics to research to help you better understand areas that may be providing more stress than others. Back on that left-hand side, there's also a garden, and under the garden, there is a sweepstakes tab. And so as you interact with My Milestones, complete courses, read articles, set streak goals, you're going to be earning sprouts, and those sprouts can be redeemed for entries into a $1,000 prize pool on a monthly basis. So we encourage you to come to the platform, learn to better your financial wellness situation, and then with the experience sprouts that you earn consuming that information, go ahead and enter them for entries to win cash prize. That would be great, right? There's a favorites category. We'll visit that a little bit later. We've got content that we will highlight based on the money personality assessment we'll be taking. And depending on the results that we get during that assessment, we've got content specific for folks in that area. And then lastly, there's a Commerce Bank Solutions tab that we'll touch on before we navigate back to the platform. So to get started today, I'm going to navigate up to the top where there's a Topics tab next to Dashboard. I'm going to click on that. And here you'll be greeted with popular topics. So outside of the money personality that we're about to take, if there is a particular area that you're wanting to learn more about or might have a higher stress level in your household, we would encourage you to visit the popular topics section or see more topics. And this will help direct you or focus your resources depending on what those stressors are. As you navigate through all of the topics available, you might notice that there are some green new tabs. The platform is adding new information on a regular basis so that you have the latest and greatest information at your fingertips. So look out for those green new tabs as they could provide some new information. And then lastly, as you scroll all the way to the bottom, there is a great robust section for paying for school. So everything from applying for aid, preparing for college, repaying student loans, or saving for child's education. Lots and lots of helpful information located here. Last, before we get to the money personality, there's types of aid, and there is a scholarships section here. So I mention this only because of the stage in life in which you all find yourselves. If getting a scholarship helps you accomplish your goals at WGU, we want to help you find and be connected with those scholarships. So here you could read a guide about getting started with scholarships. There are helpful resources about crafting, for instance, a winning scholarship essay. But then I'm going to also navigate back up to the Topics tab, and I'm going to go to the Tools section. And here I'm going to highlight a scholarship search tool that is built into the platform. So in addition to getting resources on how to prepare to apply for a scholarship or ways to write a compelling essay for scholarships, there is also a tool built into the platform that would allow you to apply directly for scholarships through My Milestones. So for instance, you could say sort by dollar amount, and here you'll see scholarships ranging from $5,000 to $250,000, $1,000 to $153,000. It will give you information on how many days you have left to apply for that, and it gives you the required GPA or application requirements that you would need when you go in to submit that scholarship request. So one of the things we hear from our higher education partners is that finding where to apply for scholarships is one of the more time consuming activities. And so this tool really cuts down on that research for you. So we recommend taking a look there when you have some time. All right, for today's session, we are going to navigate to the third tab at the top, which is the mindfulness tab, and we are going to navigate here to the money personality. So your money personality, it's going to recommend that we take a quick assessment and receive a free analysis of our money personality. Once we have discovered our money personality, we're going to receive recommendations. We're going to compare with peers, so we'll get some instant feedback on where we sit based on our personality. And then at the end, we're going to get some recommendations on these 4 categories based on emotions, based on our outlook, based on focus and influence. And the way in which we complete this assessment will give us resources on all of those categories to make the most of how we think about and operate when it comes to personal finances. So we're going to go ahead and take this assessment together. I would recommend that you just tune in and follow along, see how I interact with this. I don't want to skew you and your answers, so maybe take parking lot the assessment and taking it yourself until after the session. Another thing that we recommend with the money personality is if there is more than one contributing or member of the household that also takes away from the monthly budget, this assessment is a great activity for both of those individuals in the household. So if you have a spouse or significant other that also contributes or takes away from the household income, we recommend that through WGU they could sign up for a profile and complete this money personality assessment, because it's only going to help your overall financial wellness goals if you have a full picture of the way that those personalities align in the household. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm also going to give you just some personal tips and tricks as we answer these questions. So I'm speaking through the I while I'm answering these, and my answers may differ from yours, and that is quite all right. So how well does this statement describe you? So I often spend money without considering whether it could be put to better use elsewhere. And I'm pretty conservative when it comes to my spending of money, and so I'm going to say a 3. I don't really think too much about the future. Whatever is going to happen will happen, and that's not so true for me. I'm a little bit of a planner, so I'm going to go 2 on that one. I am too busy worrying about today to really plan far in advance. Again, I like to have a plan. I am saving as much money as I possibly can. Now that is somewhat up for interpretation. I consider saving as much money as I possibly can. I would want to make sure that I'm able to meet my other obligations before also saving. But when you think about saving, there's a variety of ways in which folks can save. So for instance, if you're employed, are you saving in your employer's retirement plan? That would be a great way to save. If you're not working or with an employer that has a retirement plan, there are additional ways that you could be saving, and that could be for things like an emergency savings account. Or perhaps it could be in individual retirement accounts like an IRA, a Roth, or a traditional. So there's a variety of ways that you can kind of think about, am I saving as much money as I possibly can? And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say 5. I've got a pretty good handle on that. I am willing to make sacrifices now to put more money in my savings account. And I do align with that statement. One of the things that I recommend, speaking of retirement accounts with employers, we always recommend that you contribute the maximum amount to get the most out of any type of a match that the employer may have. So for example, if they will match up if your employer will match your employee retirement contributions up to 5%, let's say, we would recommend that you at least contribute 5% to your retirement account so that you're getting that free extra 5% from your employer because they're matching it. That is free money, of which it's hard to find anywhere else that would match your savings in that regard. So I'm pretty confident when it comes to that. I have specific plans for how I will achieve my goals, and thanks to my milestones, I'm also confident. I am also confident that I do have plans to achieve those goals. So we're doing good. We're through one of the categories. So this one's going to be a little bit more about our outlook. So I feel panicky when an unexpected expense arises, and while I may feel that that is true, I know that by having a plan and an emergency savings, I've got ways to protect myself. And so I don't feel too panicky myself when an unexpected expense arises. And that's because I've given myself the peace of mind that I have saved in an emergency savings account, and that I should be able to meet whatever unexpected expense arises. The recommendation for an emergency savings account is to have 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved in an account that is liquid, accessible to you like a checking or a savings account. In the event that an unexpected situation does arise. So, for example, if you're with an employer and you've got health coverage through them, depending on what type of a plan you have, it would be important to know what your deductible is if you need to go to the doctor. And it also is important to know what your out-of-pocket maximum is. So what could you be expected to pay individually if you're a single individual, or if you have a spouse or children, what your family plan, what that threshold is, because that would be a good amount to have saved in the event that someone trips and falls and breaks something. I know we're in the winter months, and I hope everyone stays safe. But that is a recommendation when you think about an emergency savings account. I worry about money all the time. That is not something that I wish upon anyone, and I want to make sure that as you navigate my milestones, you're taking tips and tricks that will allow you to not have stress about money all the time. I can become distressed when making decisions involving money. Again, that one is a little personal, and it probably depends on what type of a decision is being made. Is it a large purchase, perhaps a home? Is it a loan for an automobile? Is it a student loan, perhaps? I think when I read this question, what I want to emphasize is that you know that you have resources available to you to help you make those decisions. So definitely leverage my milestones when it comes to making those decisions. And if you still have questions, reach out to someone here at Commerce, and we'll give you direct access to phone numbers and emails so that we can help you be confident in the decisions that you're making. I would rather save money than spend it. Now, that one's a personal one. And no, I like spending money, but I know that I need to save it as well. So I can't say I'm too true on that one. I try to avoid going into debt whenever possible. I do relate with this. I do believe in good debt. So, for instance, things like a mortgage is good debt. That investment will hopefully grow in value over time and allow you to reap the benefits of that. Also, when I think about debt, I don't think about the use of a credit card as going into debt. It's what is your ability to repay that credit card at the end of the month? Are you repaying the minimum amount that is required, or are you able to pay the full balance? And I believe this question is more geared towards if you are unable to pay that full balance, and we've got a whole bunch of resources available when it comes to credit on the platform. I usually think carefully about making new purchases. This is true, especially large purchases. So things like a home, a vehicle, your education. Definitely spend some time thinking about those. They are investments in your future, and we don't want you to make those too quickly. It feels good to spend money on myself. I mean, very true. I have to balance. I have to balance how often I want to do that. I usually make decisions very quickly. I think it comes down to what decision am I making. I tend to buy things I hadn't planned to buy. I'm pretty good about sticking to my budget, and so I'm not going to say very well on that one. All right, we're two sets down, and I will pick up the pace to get through this. So I usually get depressed after making a financial decision. That is not true, and I hope that that is not true for you. I expect my financial situation will always stay the same or get worse. I do not. And I want to make sure that if you are in that camp, we are giving you the tools and the resources to make informed decisions. If I'm not careful, people will try to take advantage of me. If I get a juicy stock tip, I would invest some money as long as it fit into my budget. I would caution juicy stock tips. I would encourage dollar cost averaging, which is investing in retirement on a consistent basis at a percentage or dollar amount that is comfortable for you. Juicy stock tips could not pan out as well as we hope. When I hit an unexpected financial setback, I know I'll find a way to work it out. And I feel very good there because I do have my emergency savings account in place and it's funded. I know if I needed to quit my job, I would be okay. Never have I had to think about that. I have been lucky enough to be with Commerce for 18 years. But I think if I had to leave, I would be okay. I only purchase car insurance because it's required, not because I'll ever need it. And this is not true. And I think if anyone has any minors in the household or kids that are nearing driving age, you'll know that it's not just because it's required. When I play the lottery or gamble, it's because I believe I will beat the odds. I am one that likes a good holiday scratcher, but the odds are not in our favor, unfortunately. I tend to be better than most people at most things. That's a pretty lofty statement. All right, we're moving right along. I often rely on my friends and family for financial advice. Friends and family are good, but professionals are good too. So maybe start with your friends and family to get a sense of what you're thinking and how that compares. But then come to Commerce and ask a professional. And sometimes unbiased opinions are the best. I enjoy buying really nice gifts for people. I do like a good gift, so that's somewhat true. I would spend outside of my budget in order to join friends or family at an expensive restaurant. It depends on the occasion, maybe, right? What's it for? But I'm gonna go with not really. I'm in a better position than anyone else to make decisions about my finances, and I feel I am in a very good position to make decisions about my finances, and I want you to feel like you are in the best position to make the decisions about your finances. And through this personality assessment, I think that will help. It's annoying when others tell me how I should spend my money, and maybe. Most of the time, I tend to make financial decisions without receiving any advice. Again, I think that I would caution folks. It's a kind of a broad statement, but I think that the point here is that depending on the financial decision that you're making, it's always important to get a second opinion, and we would be happy to be that second opinion. I am comfortable letting someone else in my life make all of the major financial decisions. And speaking from the eye, that is a not at all for me. I avoid talking about money because I feel that people will judge me. I think that might be more something here in the States. Money is a little taboo. We're trying to change that. I tend to avoid thinking about money, and that's not true for me personally, because if you're not thinking about it, then it might control you, and we want you to be able to control your financial wellness situation. All right, we've only got one more set, and then we're going to get to learn about all the resources that are available based on the personality type that I have. So I always know the balance in my checking account. After working at a bank for 18 years and leveraging all of the technology that is accessible through apps, through text alerts, through online banking, I do have to say I got a pretty good handle on the checking account balance. I have all of my important documents, such as insurance policies, carefully stored where I can find them. Again, this one is true because we've been delivering financial education information for quite some time. And we are finding ourselves in tax season currently. On January 26th, the IRS started accepting tax refund applications. And so through that process every year, I've got a pretty well organized system to be able to complete those. And just for the sake of what we do, our team has some folks that have been able to file their taxes already, and we have seen refund turnaround in as little as 5 business days. So when I look at this question, I immediately think it's not often that I have to access my insurance policies, but I do like to access important documents to be able to file taxes in a very easy way. And so I would encourage you to think about this question perhaps in that way. What documents do you have to have ready every year to be able to file your taxes? And if you've got those well organized, then hopefully that makes tax filing all that much easier for you. Paying my bills on time each month gives me a good feeling, and it does, as long as the bills aren't higher than I would like them to be, right? I guess that's subjective in the winter months. And then I would quit a job without having another job if I was unhappy. And that is certainly a personal question. I tend to get bored easily, not so much, and I feel that life is an adventure. Quite true. And then I believe money is meant to be enjoyed. And again, that is true for me as long as you're controlling it and it's not controlling you. Going shopping makes me feel better. I'm always up for a shopping day. Jamie can attest. And I would go on vacation and put it all on a credit card. And this is true if I had the savings aligned to be able to pay that credit card at the end of the vacation, because a vacation can be expensive depending on where you're going, but you could earn a lot of rewards points depending on the card that you use and the perks that come along with it, whether that's multipliers on airfare, hotel, car rentals, dining out, etc. So I would do this, and I would make sure that I have the savings available to be able to pay that card and balance in full when it comes due. All right, way to go. So we're gonna look at our analysis now. And you'll see as we completed that, we also earned 200 experience points for the monthly prize submission. So here is our overview. And managing your finances is about more than just your money in the bank. So it talks about the science behind this and how. So the science behind this, it was developed by a PhD in behavioral economics. This assessment is similar to an MBTI personality assessment, but it has a focus specifically around finances. And then we're going to learn about, based on my money personality type, resources that will help me make the most informed decisions that I can. So emotion type. I have a relaxed emotion type when it comes to money. So what does that mean? Relaxed financial types don't worry much about money, and they tend to enjoy spending it. Going into debt is not a big issue for relaxed types, and they don't worry much about paying off those debts in the future. I guess that's where I would differ. Their attitude might be spend now and worry about it later. Relaxed financial types may even be somewhat aloof when calculating the risks they are taking. But as you know, there are steps that you can take, like emergency savings accounts, so that you've built in peace of mind when you're a relaxed emotion type. So here are some of the biggest strengths. You have no hangups about enjoying your hard-earned money. If you come across something you really want, you'll likely find a way to make it happen. But similarly, a big challenge for when you're relaxed, you are more susceptible than others to the sway of tricky advertising or the temptation of impulse buying, and may often waste money on frivolous purchases. So, watch out for advertisements on social media or what have you. And then it's going to talk about actions that you can take when you're relaxed. You can put your financial life on autopilot. You can slow down, give yourself a moment to reconsider before you buy, and you can give yourself allowance. That would be a good idea. And then it's got additional resources based on that type. Let's go to the next chapter. And this one is on outlook. So, what does my outlook say about me? I am optimistic. That compares with 46% are also optimistic. In general, most people are overly optimistic about their futures as compared to the actual probabilities of positive events occurring. So, what does that mean? This positive outlook works well on a daily basis, but optimistic types may be caught off guard every now and then when things don't work out as hoped. Optimists also tend to associate with similar types of people, which can reinforce their behavior and attitudes. So good to know. Some strengths as well as some challenges for those that also are of the optimistic camp. And then it's got some additional resources and actions that you can take. You can get grounded and assess your finances. You can consider all outcomes, and you can use optimism wisely. All right, let's look at the next chapter. So this is on focus. My focus type is future focus. So 65% of people are future focused like I am. The summary for that is future focused financial types usually have a set of goals and personal aspirations in place with a solid understanding of at least the basic financial principles needed to achieve them, and I would say that is very much true. These goals tend to be specific and measurable. For instance, future focused types are more likely than others to visualize what they would like to do in retirement rather than saying, I will figure it out when the time comes. And that is certainly true about me. And talking about employer retirement plans, there is a tool within my milestones that will allow you to see, it's a retirement analyzer, to see if you're on track for retirement. We've already suggested that if you have an employer match program, that you're contributing the most to get that match from them. And then the other thing that we would recommend, especially for anyone starting out where perhaps your first career will be after WGU, is starting that plan as early as possible. So time is on your side. The earlier that you get started, the more opportunity you will give yourself for that money to grow and compound. So you've got big strengths and challenges for folks that are future focused, as well as some content. Some action items to consider would be break big goals into smaller pieces, treat yourself, and reassess old standards. And when I see reassess old standards, one of the things that I think of is anything that we set and forget when it comes to our finances. So think about auto insurance or any insurance for that matter. Sometimes you purchase it and you use it and it serves you well, but could another alternative serve you better? did you lock in that rate, but you've changed automobiles or something since then. So don't let old standards just be status quo. You can always revisit those and make sure you've got control over your situation. All right, so looking at influence, your influence type, I'm independent. 57% of people are independent like I am. Independent financial types are typically self-reliant in life, which carries over into financial matters. And that is true for me, certainly. Three big strengths as well as challenges: content for that type, and then action items when you're independent. Honor your personality, ask questions, embrace your lone wolf, and give credence to professionals. So I will definitely say that is true when it comes to investing, and we are so lucky to have financial advisors here at Commerce Bank, of which I lean on when looking at my retirement and my 401k. So definitely something to consider based on your outlook type and situation. And then there's a bonus category. So your bonus category type is organized. So 68% of people are organized like I responded. Organizers tend to be the people in their families or social circles who manage the finances, and they achieve a great deal of satisfaction from keeping tabs on their own or their household situation. And I think that is kind of funny. I just came back from a vacation, and we're using an app called Splitwise, and the group is putting all of the expenses in Splitwise to make sure that we're all settled up at the end of vacation. And it works really well because you're able to split transactions by percentage or what have you based on receipts. So that definitely holds true because we're going through Splitwise as we speak after vacation. So there are some strengths and challenges related to this bonus category, and then action items for organized types: buddy up and organize your worries away, guard against potential threats, and stick to a schedule. So I think those are all great recommendations. So at the end, recommendations, it has some tools for this personality type. So for optimistic, it's recommending the investment allocation tool. And we've talked a little bit about retirement readiness and financial advisors and getting a second opinion. So that investment allocation tool would be a great resource for someone that has the same optimistic outlook. Savings growth, another helpful tool, as well as the retirement analyzer that I mentioned. So all very good, helpful tools. Some other recommended tools for this personality type: investing to build wealth, as well as mastering credit and optimizing your credit score. And then you can see some additional content that was recommended. So let's go ahead and navigate back to the dashboard. I appreciate you all taking some time to go through the money personality in depth with me, and I hope you are able to take some tips and tricks based on my responses and lived experience with the platform and with some of the topics. As you can see, we have now earned some experience points. And if I went down to the sweepstakes tab, that has now opened up the opportunity to have one prize entry into the prize pool. So as you interact with more content and earn more sprouts, that will allow you to get more entries into the prize pool. Under the favorites category, we had favorited a lot of tools and resources based on what we learned from our money personality. So things like your emergency fund, prepare for emergencies with an analysis of how much to save and when. And we know that a well-funded emergency fund is 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses saved for a rainy day or unexpected event. Retirement analyzer, find out if you're on track for retirement in 2 minutes or less. And we have learned that it is important that if you are with an employer that has a matching formula, that you're taking full advantage by contributing the maximum to get that bonus from your employer, and that time investing is part of the game. And the earlier that you can get started, the better off you will be. And then I know one of those questions along the money personality was about gambling or a lottery ticket, and I would caution that you think about your budget if that is a line item in it. Um, uh, but dollar cost averaging, you could take that same money that you would be putting towards a gambling or a lottery ticket, and if you are investing that amount in stocks or mutual funds or what have you on a regular basis, I will guarantee you that that will pay out in the long run. But I wish you the best of luck with those scratchers. If you hit big, we've got a place for you to park that with our trust company. There's a budgeting tool. There is a credit score analyzer. So if you are looking to improve, rebuild, or establish credit, definitely an opportunity to learn more on the platform. There's a savings growth tool. There's a credit card pay down. So perhaps getting out of debt in 2026 is a high priority for you. Let us help you with this credit card pay down tool. There are different strategies, whether that's a snowball or an avalanche. I know we're in the winter months, so those sound funny, but it depends on whether or not you attack balances that are higher or interest rates that are higher, and how that could help you achieve your goals to pay down credit as quickly and saving you as much as you can. If buying a home is of interest in the new year, we have a home affordability tool. You can find out if you're ready to buy a home and how much you can afford. Courses, understanding the importance of financial wellness. There are some meditations, because I know when you think about finances, that can raise all sorts of emotions. And so it's always good to center yourself and feel free to learn about building good financial habits, having difficult financial conversations, maybe as a result of the learned personality assessments that your household has completed. Don't end there. Lean into those feelings and let's have those difficult conversations. I think that once you do, you'll feel much better. And then lastly, the shifting economy. I mean, in today's day and age, it can go from one way to another. But if you are investing in the stock market for the first time ever, it crossed 50,000. So pretty crazy that has happened now. And then there are some webinars. So for instance, you could tune into a past webinar. This one is about navigating financial stress tips to take control of your financial well-being. So perhaps that would be of interest to you. For those visual learners, I really like infographics myself, and so I'll pop this one out. But are you trying to keep up with the Joneses? And then it gives you some questions and answers for you to consider, as well as some outcomes that you may want to consider based on whether or not you said ones, twos, or threes. So the infographics are very helpful. All right, I'm navigating back to the dashboard. Last but not least, I'm going to leave you all with the Commerce Bank solutions as you interact with my milestones. And should you have any questions, we are here to help. And we've got an accessible St. Louis-based customer care center at this phone number, as well as email and hours of that customer care, so that you can you can get a hold of someone at Commerce with ease. All right, I'm going to navigate us back to the platform and wrap up for the day. If you have any questions based on what we've covered so far, feel free to drop those into the chat. We will share this deck with Hong and WGU afterwards, so that you can reference back to it based on your emotion type. If you are apprehensive, one last time, some reminders of things to do would be to take the course Setting Up an Emergency Fund, using the tool for budgeting, and then reading the article, Everything You Need to Know About Managing Financial Stress. If your emotion type was cautious, we recommend taking the course Assessing Your Insurance Needs. Again, using that budgeting tool, and then reading an article, Treat Yourself, How to Overcome Overcaution with Investing. And lastly, if you're of the relaxed type, creating a financial plan for your priorities and goals is recommended, as well as watching a video about financial wisdom from Nelson Mandela. And there's an article called "A Relaxed Attitude is an Asset When Playing Hard to Get with Advertisers." So don't let your social media threads control your buying decisions. Take control of those yourself. So we've got Stacy's contact information. I apologize that Stacy was not able to lead today's session. I hope I did her justice in my delivery, and I so appreciate the time that you all spent with us today. In addition to the quick survey that Hong has for you all through Handshake, Jamie has also dropped a brief commerce survey, and this is always a good opportunity because I don't get the chance to facilitate as often as my team. So I would welcome your feedback on how I did today and whether or not you were able to pick up any helpful tips or tricks that you can apply to your financial wellness journeys. And we hope that you take the most out of my milestones after today. And Hong, I will turn it back over to you unless there are any questions. Jamie, thank you so much for dropping all that helpful content along the way.
Awesome. You did a fantastic job, Matt. I'll make sure to let Stacy know she's got to run for her money. Um, but we'll give it just a minute here for questions while we wait. Like Matt said, we'll make sure to send this recording out along with those surveys, and your feedback does greatly help us. We host these financial sessions about once a month with our Commerce Bank team here. So make sure you look out for that next one. I think when it comes to money, some of us shy away, but I know the first time I heard about money personality, I was like, oh, this is so interesting to learn, a little bit more about yourself, and then maybe where your shortcomings are and how to plan and budget ahead so that you can have some good insight into your spending habits. And then if you think of a question later on, you're more than welcome to send that over to me. I'll be happy to reach out to our Commerce Bank friends as well. But I'm not seeing anything else in the chat, so we can go ahead and conclude today's session. Of course, we want to send a big thank you, as always, to our Commerce Bank team. Thank you so much, Matt, for presenting and leading today's conversation, and Jamie for jumping on and helping with the chat. It's always such a fun time to have you guys join us. And just as a quick reminder, the Milestone is a free tool, which is a very great benefit for our WGU community here. So I'll send that email out, and then make sure to continue to check resources and check Handshake for the upcoming financial session with Commerce Bank. So other than that, we'll go ahead and wrap up the session, and we'll hope to see you at the next one. Have a great rest of your week, everyone.
Thanks, Hong. Till next time.
Yeah.